Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is quotes 268. Today we actually have two quotes by Gandhi, and we've done a number of quotes by Gandhi before too, so if you like this one, go back and check some of the others. But here's the first one. The earth provides enough to satisfy man's needs, but not every man's greed. Okay, let's continue. The day the power of love overrules the love of power, the world will know peace. Well, some people may see this and say, well, that may never happen. One, greed is, an actual, human instinct or a part of human nature. So it'll probably never be gotten rid of completely. But that's the greed that really is the danger. It's not the greed like, somebody doesn't want to share a cake or somebody doesn't even want to share some of their personal money. The real greed that you have to watch out for is the greed of power. So let's continue here. Remember, Gandhi was a lawyer for many decades and tried to fight the system from within. He learned he would never win that way. He realized who he was up against. He wasn't just fighting a system. He was fighting a group of extremely powerful people who were unrelentless in their quest to attain power and hold on to power. And they had a lot of power controlling the system, so they would never allow him to beat them within the system. So that's why he tried the non-violence tactics, which was one of the most successful against these powerful elite. They didn't quite know how to handle this to begin with. They have a little better idea how to handle it now, but still, it's not an easy one for them, especially in the case of India, where, Gandhi says, well, we just won't work, we'll just stay home, and, you'll just destroy the whole economy unless you just go. So they found a way that it was hard for them to beat Gandhi. But if he tried to just do it within this system, they controlled the system, and they were never going to allow him to beat them within the system. Let's continue. Gandhi knew the world did not need to be this way, where everything's controlled like this. With this quote, he is letting you know there is more than enough resources for everyone. It is known that there are many technologies purposely suppressed, and the patents are held by governments and rich, powerful people. And the rich elite prefer to keep things this way because really the name of the game is control, to control everything. I know some people sometimes hear this and think, that's nonsense. But no, if you really did research, you find out there's many patents on many different types of technology that could probably... Some people say we could this world could be like a paradise instead of what it is, but then the rich and the elite would probably not be able to control it. The name of the game is always control. All right, let's continue here. It is not just about money. It is about power. Yeah, if it were about money, many of the rich and the elite, they already have enough money that they could live several lifetimes and never spend all the money. It's really power is the danger, especially ultimate power. That is really their goal. They want to control everything. All right, so power is not only through the military. A lot of people think of power, they think of like military power, but also through control of politicians. That's a really big one. They throw a lot of money around and they get dirt on politicians. They can control politicians in many ways. One, they try to bribe them. If they can do it that way, they'll do it through money. But they also do it through blackmail, and they get something on them so that they can control them. That's other ways. The media, unfortunately, a lot of rich, powerful elite, they control many of the main, mainstream media news, so they can control a lot of what is broadcast through that. That is a lot of power. Even the education system, they have their hands in that too. So if you can, like we say here, if you can influence information and knowledge, you can control people and keep them in check and manipulate them. And sometimes even manipulate them to think that their agenda of what they wanted is actually your agenda. Of course, they won't tell you the truth about it. Okay, good. So yeah, that's what they do. Love can always overpower greed if greed is recognized and exposed for what it is. The problem is greed is almost always in disguise, yes, because they will use the media, they will use the education system to make whatever they wanted to do, make you think that for some reason that's a good idea, or they're just helping people, or that's justice or something, but really it's their greed that's actually behind it, because all for the sake of control. So they'll always come up with some just or necessary reason for war. Yeah, a lot of the rich, powerful people, they are behind a lot of the wars. So, what the reasons that we sometimes read in the history books and what we hear on TV is not really always the real reason behind it. It always needs to be in disguise, because if you knew the real reason, you wouldn't support it. Just necessary for war or destruction due to a claimed emergency. Everything is always emergency. That's one of the ways to try to rush you, make you not think too much, because it's an emergency. We have to do something right away. All right, well, anyway, so that's what Gandhi is really trying to tell you here. The day the power of love overrules the love of power. So if we could recognize the greed for what it is, if we could see through it, if it could be exposed, then most people don't want war. Nobody wants to go to war. Only they want the wars because they profit from it. They find, and they can also eliminate people through it, and they can control people through it. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope it's clear. I hope it was food for thought. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.